Welcome back to the Bar Talk Happy Hour. My name is Odie Coyote, and we have been having a wonderful string of interviews, as you guys know, the past 3 or 4 weeks right in a row, and we're so grateful and so thankful. And this week is absolutely no exception. For the third time coming on the Bar Talk Happy Hour, we have Mr. Chuck Wimer, and he's a man who really needs no introduction. But Chuck, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to see you again. I don't know about the no introduction, but we appreciate that kind words, and we appreciate all the support.
3 times on here, you and Jarrett Ray Reddick are the only ones to achieve that with us so far, which is really quite impressive because we've really only been doing this thing for like 2 years. So
I love that guy. I sent him a message the other day just to let him know, hey, man, we ain't talked in a bit, and I just wanted to let you know we're still rooting for you in the Texas scene. He's already got the punk scene down. So
no, absolutely. Yeah, him. And funny enough, actually, not to divert too much, but Raven actually got to go and hang out with them before the show when they were here in Des Moines not too long ago. So that was really cool. Nice. So you, though, last time we talked, we had the big single Fire in Your Eyes, and which did really well. You mentioned earlier before we started recording that it went all the way to number 6 on the Texas regional charts. Is that right?
Yeah, on the Billboard's chart, the Texas Regional Radio Report, we got up to 6. We didn't expect it. We thought we were going to probably make it, maybe 20. And my promoter, Dave Smith, legend in his own right, and he said, no, we're going to keep on pushing this one. We did. We went a little bit longer than we usually do, and it did everything that he said it was going to do, and we were surprised. So we just decided, you know what, we're just going to trust him. He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. And so how have the shows been going since then, since Fire in Your Eyes came out? Have they gotten bigger? Have you guys gotten more opportunities to perform? I guess what's been the growth since the song?
Yeah, the band has been getting really super tight. We've had the same band together for about a year now. We had a couple of pieces that got replaced over the past couple of years, and no animosity on anybody's end. It's just one retired and the other one moved on to bigger and better things. But we've gotten really, really tight, and it's been showing in a lot of the shows, and it's been getting us a little bit more interest out there. People have been reaching out to us instead of us reaching out to them. And we've just been having a whole lot of fun. We're going up and down the road playing shows, and wherever they let us in, we go in and we give it everything we've got. 1 or 1,000, doesn't matter. We want to put on the best show we can.
Absolutely. So for you, I mean, this has got to be kind of cool. Last time we were at number 8 for as far as radio singles, and I think we're at number 9 now with Don't Ask Me to Dance. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take your word for it because my management's not in the room with me. But yeah, I think we're at 9 right now. It's pretty exciting.
I was going to say, how's Jamie doing?
She's good. She just spent a month up in Colorado, and she just got back not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago. And so now we're hitting the pavement hard. I think we got 18 band shows that are coming up for the rest of the year, and we're looking forward to getting into those and then seeing what happens for next year. But it's always a good thing when she's around.
Absolutely. And just those who don't know, Jamie is his significant other, just like producer Raven is mine, and we cannot do our jobs and do what we do without them. So they are absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah. The wheels fall off if they're not here.
Yeah. This is why y'all don't know this, but we had to start the recording over again. This is our second time through with Chuck, and I blame that because I don't have Raven in the studio with me right now. She's just barely getting home from her day job, and we're getting ready to go on vacation. So that's what I blame it on. Things just fall apart, man. We're lost
ready
without
to celebrate
them.
that anniversary,
Yeah, our 9 years. How long have you guys? How long have you and Jamie been together doing this thing?
We're coming up on 25. December will be our 25th year together, married, and it doesn't even feel like 2 days. We've been loving it. Well, I've been loving every minute of it. I don't know about her, but
I'm sure she's been loving it too, man. I really am. I'm sure she is. I tell you though, it's really funny because in this country music industry, it's weird, but it really is a family affair. You're the third or fourth artist who's told me like it's that had their spouse or a relative or someone close to them, a brother or something like that, helping them in their career. Have you noticed that too in the country music space, that it always seems to be sort of a family thing, like as far as the organization of the artists and structures?
Yeah, up to a certain level. When you get to a certain point, then sometimes you have to reach out and or be reached out to. You got to find that person who's got a little bit more access to the industry, and I think Jamie's actually gone further than we would have expected. You know, we would have expected needing to go out and hire management that's been in this business for a while, but she keeps on learning all the new stuff and how to do the job. And it's a big stretch. She used to be a school teacher, and now she's doing this as a business. You know, people have reached out to her and they're like, "Hey, can you do that for us?" And she's like, "I don't have that kind of time."
All right. I tell you what, Chuck, we're going to be right back with you with some more content here, and we're going to take a quick break here to separate for a quick break from our stations, but we'll be right back with a whole lot more on the Bar Talk Happy Hour. Welcome back once again to the Bar Talk Happy Hour. We are back with Chuck Wimer. We've been talking about his career. We've been talking about the growth since Fire in Your Eyes, and now we're going to go on to his 9th radio single, which is Don't Ask Me to Dance. And Chuck, I just got to know, that song is really interesting because Don't Ask Me to Dance. I'm just going to let you kind of explain this because I think I probably have a different perception. What is that song supposed to be about, and who was it written for?
Okay, so that's a fun topic of conversation, mostly because everybody seems to have a different idea of what the song's about, which means that we wrote it the right way. You know, anybody can have how they want to feel about it, and that's kind of one of our goals when we write. But myself and Mikey Good, a buddy of mine from Indiana, we sat down and we did a Zoom write. We wanted to write a song about, you know, just a super cocky guy that you know, he knows he can't get the girl, but he's going to make an excuse, and he's just going to say, you know, hey, I don't want to dance, so don't ask me, even though he knows that he never had a shot in the world. It's just kind of that bravado that says that, you know, I can have her if I wanted to, but I can't. It played out pretty nice when we did the video, and we've been getting pretty good response for it. I think we're sitting at 40 on T3R and I think 45 on TCMC. And if I remember right, I think we were 4 on internet. So that's we're pretty excited with how it's moving. It's on a steady climb instead of, you know, jumping straight up and then, you know, falling off real quick. I noticed that a lot of the bigger bands, they tend to have that success where it's, you know, the song hits the top of the charts really, really fast, but then they have to put out another one. So, you know, it works out better for us because we don't have that kind of income yet, you know, where you're going to be able to put out, you know, 5 radio singles a year.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I think that's kind of cool because you get the longevity of the song. I can tell you in radio, what we're looking for in a song is something that lasts. We want to see a song stay consistent in the chart with consistent growth little by little, because then that tells us that it wasn't just a group of stations got really excited because, like you said, it's a big artist, you know, your Aaron Watsons and things like that of the world, where it just seems like by default they put out a new single and they just shoot straight up, but then it doesn't get as well of an audience reception, and then it ends up falling back off. Or a couple other like weird nuances, things that happen that, you know, tend to occur in the charts, but the charts are only one point of measurement too. So I really should stress this. On a lot of times in our interviews, we talk a lot about the charts, and yes, there's quite a few of them, and we're all reporting stations for most of them, if not all. But it's only one metric. You know, you've got to look at your social media engagements. You got to look at Spotify. You got to look at how the streaming sites are doing. To some tiny degree, still, you look at the record sales, and you're constantly getting feedback from others. And I guess it wasn't a playing question, but it kind of brought up in my mind. How do you gauge success of a song, Chuck, when you release something? What makes it successful to you?
So for us, for Jamie, she pays a lot of attention to the charts just because, you know, we're going to end up going to these award shows and we're going to be able to say hi to folks. And it's kind of a way for somebody who didn't really start early to get their name out there. We don't have a whole lot of time in this business. So then the written name is actually a little bit easier for people to see and then recognize. But for me, when I look at it is when I see that a station in an area is playing the song, and then when we go out to that area and we see people show up for the show because they heard the song or because they were interested in whatever location that, you know, whatever bar or festival that they go to, they see that we're going to be playing, and then they go look us up, and then, you know, we usually get that feedback when I'm out there, because I like to go around and talk to the crowd in between sets. And and then they say, hey, look, man, we heard that you were coming out here. We hadn't heard of you before. And then they, usually it's I can't believe we haven't heard of you before. It's really exciting that you're coming out here. And, of course, me and the band, we're just like, hey, we're just humble, man. We're just glad we were able to come in the door. It's a hard thing to do when nobody's heard your name yet. So that's one of the things that we gauge the metric on, is when people start to recognize us before we get there, or they say, hey, we came out to the show because we heard your song on X, Y, and Z. And then, of course, we do hear from some fans that have access to us beyond the social media, direct messages or whatever. They may have our phone number or something, and they'll reach out to us and they'll be like, hey, we were driving through this area and we heard you on this station. And we're like, oh, that's so cool. That means that we're being played at a time when people can hear it. And that's kind of where we gauge the metric, is when the station's playing us. Because there's a lot of stations that'll play you, but sometimes they play you at midnight or 3 a.m. And while we're thankful for those spins too, because I work that overnight shift, so that's the time I would be listening. But knowing that you're during the rush hour traffic, and people get to hear the song, and then they go and check you out. And and then of course you have the search features too. I think Apple has Shazam, and we can see how many people Shazam just in a different area, and that's another way that we gauge it. And we're like, okay, people are interested in the song because they're trying to find out what that song is.
That's cool. I didn't know that you could see those metrics on Shazam. Actually, I learned something too just now.
Yeah.
And don't knock. I'm just gonna advocate for those stations like myself who are primarily internet based, because we have listeners all over the world, including the United Kingdom.
Oh yeah.
So just because it's midnight here, that's like 6 a.m. morning show, in the UK.
No, absolutely.
So it's not as bad of a deal if you think that you're getting played at midnight, because in fact, a lot of our biggest listening time is from 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. And that's when a lot of our UK listeners are tuning in and all of that. And then we have another big rush around midday, which is a little earlier than what you would call a drive rush in radio. But it's weird, especially if you're looking at internet stations. Our big listening periods are not always in line with where traditional terrestrial radio kind of sees them. But yeah, it's really good to see, because all you're really trying to do is spread that out. If you're a good station, just some advice for all my other station friends out there, and for Chuck here, just throwing it on here real quick. The biggest advice that I can give is if they're spreading your plays around, meaning they're not just playing you on the weekends, they're not just playing you overnights. Right. If they're giving you like good play throughout the day, even if it's not, but maybe once every other day or something like that, as long as it's at a different time than it was before, that's key, because then that exposes you to a wider audience, because a lot of people tend to listen to the same stations, the same time, same day, right? Every day. So you're going to get some different listeners each time. So anyway, my little 2 cents for you. Now, Chuck, what has been the biggest success for you lately? Or I shouldn't say lately, but let's look at your whole career. What do you think you've had the most success at?
Well, so I don't really put a whole lot of stock in awards, especially since the awards are usually kind of a popularity contest, which I was never good at. We don't ask well, I guess is the way to say it. We don't generate that, hey, can you do something for me kind of thing. The one thing that I have been having a lot of success with is with writing, and with locking in the live band show, getting the performance to a level where we feel that we're giving the audience their value. If they got to pay a cover charge to come in and they've never heard of us, we want them to leave feeling like that cover charge was definitely worth it. And we can usually mark that by our merchandise sales. Whenever they come up to the merch card after they had to pay a cover, they sat through whatever was going on before we started, and then by the end of the show, they want to come over and they're like, hey, I need to get a T-shirt, or I want a CD. I don't have a CD player, but I want a CD, so that's usually a mark for us that things have gone well. And we tend to do pretty good in that regard. We used to gauge it by tips, but whenever you're doing a band show, it seems like band shows typically don't generally draw a lot of activity toward the tip bucket, but it does generate a lot more activity toward the merch table. So I think that's kind of where we've been doing a lot better, is with the song quality, what we're writing, what we're putting out, and then the live performance.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of a cool way to look at it, because it really is about the people. So if you're not engaging with the people, and that you're only looking at that number. I think you're right. You've been kind of hinting at this for the past few questions, and I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right that it is all about that connection with the people, with the audience, getting that raw feedback from them. And I'm really happy for you that, it's been really positive. So speaking of positive, going out, merch tents and all that good stuff, where can people find you? Where are you going to be at?
Well, I know we're going to be headlining a show out at Station on 290, and I think that's the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually going to bring my phone up. But we're also going to be out at the Graff Ranch for 2 days back to back, and the Dog Company in San Antonio. So the Graff Ranch is in Hondo, and I want to say that's the 28th and 29th, and we'll be at the Dog Company in San Antonio the night before that, which is the 27th of this month. And then I think it was give me 2 seconds while I bring this up here.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm sorry. It's 27th for the Dog Company, 28th and 29th for the Graff Ranch, and then we got that Station on 290 show, which the tickets are going up. That's going to be October 5th, and that's going to be a good time. Blackwater Holler is going to be out there opening up the thing, and there's a young lady, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, and I feel bad about it, but she's going to be, I think she's doing an acoustic thing before them. So it's going to be a good time. They're going to do kind of a little festival out there, festival / giant yard sale or pop-up market. I don't know which way they're trying to design that, but it's going to be a get out the vote kind of rally thing. And we're real excited. They invited us to come out and headline that one because we've opened up a few acts out there, and we always get good feedback whenever we go out to Harper. So we're excited. And then of course, this coming week, we're going on a radio tour. We're just going to go around and talk to some of the stations we didn't get to talk to when we first put the song out because Jamie was out in Colorado, and I don't like to go without her.
I don't blame you. Chuck, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, hanging out with us for the 3rd time now. We hope to have you back for a 4th time. Yeah, you're always welcome back here.
Oh, well, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, and I think we better leave the audience with playing Don't Ask Me to Dance. You guys are going to hear it right here on the Bar Talk Happy Hour. We'll be right back with your concerts, and goodbye. Just stick around right here on the Bar Talk Happy Hour.